Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Game 5. The Toronto Maple Leafs, is this it? Are we going to see another Leafs choke? Okay, that's probably not the narrative that I think people want to talk about with this video commentary, but I just got finished watching Game 4 of the Ottawa and Toronto series, and the Sens ended up winning in overtime. Finally! An overtime victory for Ottawa. Here's the thing. If the Toronto Maple Leafs ended up winning this game in OT, if they swept the Sens, then obviously on paper it looks bad. 4-0, sweep, no wins for the Ottawa Senators, boo-hoo. But this is one of those series where it's like every game is tight. Literally 2 overtime losses already by the Ottawa Senators in Games 2 and Games 3. You can't go out there and get upset at anybody for that. I mean, it's so close. All of these teams have chances to win in overtime that it's almost impossible to believe that a 4-0 score is indicative of the way this series has gone. Sure, Game 1, 6-2, Toronto absolutely destroyed Ottawa on the score sheet. You don't want to see that take over as the narrative. The Leafs got their big win. It was a really dominating performance. Okay, great. But the next 2 games, 3-2 overtime Toronto, 3-2 overtime Toronto, and then this game, 4-3 overtime Ottawa. The Sens have life. And I'm not saying that this guarantees that they're going to win games 5, 6, and inevitably 7, although that would be very Leafs for Toronto to fumble a 3-0 series lead and inevitably lose. But all it takes is one game to start feeling so much better and to start getting that swagger back. And it comes in the most dire of circumstances for the Ottawa Senators in this overtime period. A 4-minute double minor high sticking call in the O-zone by Drake Batherson. The Maple Leafs have all these opportunities. They have these cross creases. They have these 1-Ts. Ullmark's making saves. And inevitably, the Sens win? No way. That's crazy, man. Absolute crazy material. Let's talk about each of the goals and let's talk about the narrative of the game. Because starting things out, making it 1-0 for the home team, it's the Ottawa Senators who had themselves the first opening 2 goals. It's Tim Stutzle on the power play with a brilliant shot. He gets the pass from the point, he rips it on goal, and it's 1-0 Ottawa. Making it 2-0 Ottawa. Just 5 minutes later, on the penalty kill, it's Shane Pinto who finds himself a break. He comes in on a breakaway after, I think it was Marner, fails to hold it in at the line. Pinto comes in on Anthony Stolarz all by himself. He goes, I think it was 5-hole, and it beats the goalie there. Just a deceptive shot. It tucks under Stolarz's leg and inevitably squeaks over the goal line. 2-0 Ottawa. The vibes in the nation's capital are buzzing. But that ultimately goes away when John Tavares scores at the end of the first period to bring the lead back down to just 1. It's thrown towards the front of the goal, and John Tavares, he's right there, Willie Styles. He gets that puck onto Tavares' tape and he tips it by Linus Ullmark, making it 2-2 in the second period. You had Matthew Knies on a breakaway himself. He ends up chipping it by the Ottawa players. It's a kind of unfortunate defensive lapse for the Sens, as both of their defenders are a little bit too far away and the puck coughs itself up right down the middle, but Knies chips it to himself, gets by Zub. Zub takes a penalty, slashing Knies, but Knies says, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to come in on Ullmark, do the forehand, backhand, forehand, and bury it right by. Tie this game up 2-2. Heading into the third period, this is where Ottawa started to get even more energy, because it's none other than David Perron who buries a beautiful centering backdoor feed from Artyom Zub. Gaudette goes over to Zub. Everybody is all focused on Zub as he walks right in from the point. And because he's got all that attention, He's like, sorry, I'm not going to shoot it. I'm going to pass it backdoor right here for my guy, David Perron, and he buries it, open net, easy play. The Sens had the Leafs hemmed into their zone for a good chunk of this third period. The Sens didn't have many shots, though. They only had 1 shot in the second and 3 shots in the third, but they did have a good territorial advantage for a good chunk of the second half of this game. They just weren't able to get it done. And inevitably, it bites them in the behind, as it's Oliver Ekman-Larsson with a beautiful 1T on the right side. Willie Stiles again with an amazing cross-crease pass. Oliver Ekman-Larsson can score goals like that? Since when? When has he ever been the guy to do that? Okay, he was like that in Arizona all the time, but still, I'm a Canucks fan who is scarred by watching OEL actually exhibit offensive success with his second goal of the playoffs in this game. Tying things up 3-3 in the final few minutes of the third. Overtime comes, and this is where we see the penalty. Drake Batherson in on Chris Tanev, an aggressive forecheck. He tries to kind of shove Tanev away from the play, but he ends up getting his stick right up into the nose and the visor of Tanman. And it results in a really big penalty. 4 minutes, double minor. Tanev was bleeding. But the Ottawa Senators killed it off. They weathered the storm, they rallied with the energy from the crowd, and after all the consecutive dumps and the Maple Leafs trying to get their offense clicking, they did, honestly. They had a few opportunities that I thought were very dangerous, but Linus Ullmark steered it all away, and inevitably, with just 3 minutes to go in the overtime period, it's Jake Sanderson who ends up just throwing a Hail Mary shot towards the goal after the puck gets deflected to the point. And it ends up beating Anthony Stolarz. Sanderson has to hustle to the blue line to try to keep the puck in the zone, and then he just chucks it towards the goal. It's a rolling puck. It's hard to track. Anthony Stolarz gets beat on the far side, and Sanderson makes it 4-3 Ottawa to give the Sens their first win of the playoffs. They could have had wins in games 2 and 3. Overtime, baby. It's tough to really determine how close or how far apart a series is when you're having so many overtime games. But a 3-0 series lead, which could have become 4-0, that would have been the worst way for Ottawa to lose this series. If they had let in a goal on the 4-minute double minor, then that would have been absolutely gut-wrenching. It surely doesn't tell the entire tale of the series, but the fact that Ottawa was able to bounce back, they bit back, they won, and Brady Tkachuk, during the 3-star celebration, he went out there and yelled at the crowd, "We will be back here! We'll be back!" Is that a guarantee? Oh yeah, it's definitely a guarantee, but we'll see whether or not it actually does come true. Will we see a game number 6 in Ottawa? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Sens beating the Leafs in overtime. Does this signal the beginning of the end of Toronto's playoff happiness? Because if there's any team that can blow a 3-0 series lead nowadays, you'd best believe that a lot of folks are saying Toronto has the potential to do that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Ottawa versus Toronto game number 4. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.